Mate, how we going?
Good.
Ready?
Ready.
Ready to see my shit fight of a fuel flap?
Yes.
And we got presents.
Oh, sensational.
Look at this. Socks and all.
Socks and all.
Hey, without Bisley, we'd be nearly doing this naked.
That's it. Job done.
Job done. Look at him, he's super keen.
I am. Let's get it done.
One more thing before we get started. You penned all the shirts, so you better get one. Hey?
That's it.
What do you think?
Oh, that look good.
If you buy 3 or 4, you can use a couple of them as rags.
No, you can't do that.
Righto, let's get to work.
What am I bodging? Oh, well, a 60 series Landcruiser. But the good news is, me and you'll be working together.
Righto, so I think I did a good job of the tailgate. James was on the fence. Oh.
If you're going to do it once, you're going to do it properly.
All over me, me battery box.
So now you put pressure on me. You're like... A silk purse out of a sow's ear.
A silk purse out of a sow's ear.
See what happens when I'm not here?
Okay, so before we get into some exciting stuff and then, in a way, exciting, the roof, another one of those little, 1% of jobs that will turn into a few hours is we've gone ahead and welded up the hole on the fuel flap on the 60 series, and we ascertained that an MN Triton fuel flap and fuel release puller will be able to be modified to work with this. The only keyhole that will be left will be the one on the rear tailgate. So if something malfunctions with the central locking kit that I've got coming, we can still get in. Righto, first we'll remove the inner off the outer, see if we can adapt it to the 60. Hello? Yeah, mate. Righto, I've marked out where I think the little popper's got to go. This isn't going to be that easy to do. It's in a prig of a spot and it's really, really tight to get this in there. First of all, I've got to go and weld up this hole right there, which was from me drilling out a spot weld. Really painful because it's right next to the fuel neck. So we'll put a wet rag around it and go easy. Should be fine. Righto, I'll turn the camera off for that for insurance reasons. It's a bit sketchy welding around a fuel filler neck. Anywho, I'll go ahead and grind that flat and then we'll cut the hole out for the popper. Can't think of the word. I've lost it. We're going to weld it on. Before we go ahead and test fit it, I'll connect the cable so I can bloody open it again. Now the idea of this is, whatever cable length this is, we're going to use, and it'll either make it up onto the dash or we can coil it up a little bit inside, put it on the floor near the seat, whatever this is, we'll make that length work, and it looks plenty long enough. Alright, so that works. Just sitting out proud. Sitting out at the top and bottom a lot. It's got a fair bit to do with the welding that went on. We'll reshape that, but it does work. We just have to manipulate it to get that to sit in a little bit further. Close him up. Oh my God, I have been mucking around with this thing for hours now and I'm still not happy with it, still not sitting right. Sometimes you really just need to walk away. I know James won't be happy, I'm not happy. Just gotta walk away. Something will come to me.
What the? What? You could have tidied that up, made that just like a little square.
Maybe we should start again.
Oh my God.
I had a feeling you might say something along everything you're saying, like...
You have butchered it. You know what we'll do? Pull it out, and we'll make the square, and then we'll weld the patch into the body.
So make a square that fits that.
Perfect, so it clips in nicely.
Yep.
Cut it out, weld it in.
And then I'll grind this off.
Because that just looks like a brothel. Like... See what happens when I'm not here?
I know. That's why I stopped and I nearly threw it. Sometimes you got to admit defeat and ask for help. Don't pretend to know everything. Not happy. Righto, we are into the roof, finally. So James is just going to start peeling this part of the gutter off and drilling all the spot welds out, and it's probably safer if he does it, because I do have a tendency to drill through.
It's not that bad. So they've got solar down in here.
Yeah, yep, and it fails over time.
Yeah, and the water gets in, and that's why it rusts into it.
So that is a sandblast paint and put back on job.
That's the one.
Beauty. Well, I'll finish this filler and then I'll get on the sandblaster. Is that how professionals do it?
No. But we'll use what we've got.
Not what to do. We need an air hacksaw and we'll get one shortly. Wowzers, she's wild.
No heat, no nothing, just upper. Just lift that off, it's only 2 spot welds, do that. Put that back on.
And I'll get in to make 2 of these.
So you'll finish down there.
It's bogged. That disaster. I've got a bit of bog here too. Look, lots of it. Don't burn me.
I won't burn you. Don't move, okay?
So hot in this shed. So James is actually starting to put some roof pieces back on. Doing it a section at a time so we don't lose where the roof is supposed to sit. We don't lose any shape out of it. And just keep chasing this rust off. So we're actually cutting those big chunks out of the roof and welding the steel straight back in again just to treat the rust. It's a real bitch of a job. Feels like you're cutting steel out for no reason, but if we don't do it now, it will come back through and all this work will be for nothing. So we're pretty well committed to cutting that section of roof and that all the way around. Going back on. Checking me out. So now that you've cut that other bit out, are we taking that whole gutter off, you reckon? Because she's a tad rusty under there, lad.
Yep.
Do it once.
That's right. That's exactly it, boy.
Like you say, put enough back on so we know where it all is and keep going around the car, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we can do that in one
Yeah,
piece
we'll
till the next one of these brackets for the roof rack.
Yeah, I'll sand it all up there to there.
Yep.
And then once we sand it all up, we can go there to the next.
That's right.
And then I'll put it back on.
Good?
Yep.
So we are going to be taking the gutter off all the way around the roof as well. We were unsure whether we needed to take that piece off. But yeah, it's going to be like it the whole way around. So we'll show you when we put these little brackets in for the roof rack, what the go is with that, what the idea is. But the rest is repeat everything we've just done for probably the next 2 to 3 days. Beauty. this little piece of angle here is the piece of angle we've been talking about all day. We've finally got one in that will take the backbone that I'm going to get made up to take a rhino rack, flat rack, instead of a clamp on. We're just doing something a bit nicer and a bit different. Hopefully it works out. We're putting steel back in already. Look at this. This is outstanding.
Something on fire.
There it is. Oh yeah, it is. Nearly burnt the shed down. Seriously. It's still going.
Still going, but
Wow, that's not funny. That nearly got away from us. We had to run to get this. You know, I was thinking of the fire extinguisher earlier. Like, I do have one, but it's not on hand. Look at it. Still going. We've been welding heaps, fine, and all of a sudden she goes. Righto, try again. Righto, now just weld from one end to the other. And that's
pretty good.
Fucking nice, mate.
Yeah, just go.
Yeah, start back up here.
Because yeah, like I said,
You're gonna fuck it real quick.
like that, so you can go to bed with heater. The less heat,
The better off. More heat, more bulb.
that's right.
James, you love sanding. Awesome. Not good? That's all open. If it's not rusted through though, we can just treat it, move on.
Trust it through.
Oh, so it's good. Awesome. Oh wow. You're not supposed to be able to put your screwdriver through the car, are you?
No.
Which we knew in a way that it was going to get worse and worse and worse. But what about that in it, do you reckon?
That.
Oh, well, we'll have to patch it. We're going to have to cut the roof back further, aren't we? Well, we've been really sweating our asses off getting down the right hand side of Lazarus. We're nearly at the back corner on that roof. And if there's one thing to take out of this, guys, is that body work is not for the faint-hearted. Really know what you're in for. Anyway, the roof can wait because finally something cool's turned up. Right, I bought a cardboard box. We've got a J-Max stainless steel snorkel and powder coated in black. So let's get out of the box and have a look. Go ahead and cut this front guard. So we've been leaving the front right-hand guard on for like the last 2 or 3 episodes because it does have a repair to do on it that we want to do because we've been waiting on this. And I wanted to put this in the guard while the guard is still on the car and it's in its factory original position. Let's get out of the box and start cutting holes in the car again. She's flash. So I go and get a nice fresh blade for the Stanley knife, cut along that black line through the paper and it scores a line into the paint, and that gives you a nice sharp line to cut the hole in the guard. Okay, so we'll drill a hole right in the middle so we can get the tin snips in and start working around the outside. Obviously don't leave it too thin or your snips won't cut it, but about 20 mil apart and get around to the outside and then start cutting around that line. Obviously it's a little bit easy here on the 60 series. If this was on a brand new car with fresh paint, it would be a little bit more nerve-wracking, but I think this is definitely a DIY project. You do get pinch weld to go around your cut, so don't stress too much. Obviously we will treat that steel once we cut it. We won't, because the whole guard will be getting painted, but if you're doing it on a new car or a car that isn't being painted, you do have to paint where you've cut. Okay, so the idea of cutting around and around and around in a circle like that is to give yourself what they call a relief cut. So the underside of your tin snips goes in under and it bends that steel up as you cut it. However, do be aware if you go too thin and the steel goes in between the blades rather than cuts it, then you're buggered. So leave a good 10 mil of material there, cut around in a circle and then take off down the side. I'm probably going to get the corresponding snips, so the green version, which are the total mirror image of these, so we can cut a relief cut as we head down the straight line. Now, the idea of using tin snips is there's no swarf. If you were to use an air hacksaw or something like that, there's going to be swarf that'll drop down inside your guard. These will leave no swarf. It is a little bit harder, but if you're doing it on a brand new car that the guard wasn't coming off, this is the way to do it. So the really tight corners, you are going to get a little bit of this feathering. We just get some pliers and file and we'll smooth that out. I've taken my time because I really want to do this as if I wasn't painting that guard. So we'll tidy that up and we'll put the rubber seal around it and have a good look at it. Righto, so we'll run the pinch weld around that's supplied with it, tidy up the hole, sit in position, put a couple of self-tappers just in there now that are smaller than the fixing that will, you know, permanently be in there, because obviously this is all going to have to come off and we'll be able to see what it looks like. This is probably a 1 hour DIY, a couple of hour DIY tops. Obviously I won't be fitting the flexible hose that goes to the airbox, but it is literally, as I just stated, a flexible hose, 2 hose clamps. That should only be a 10-minute job. Right, so I've chosen to join it there. Obviously I can move this if you know, there's a better spot where it's more hidden, but we'll have a look. And well, that's not so bad. Every time you cut a new hole in the 60, you expect to see a new rust hole, but not so there, which is good. Okay, we're going to really dive right in here. I'm going to go and cut right through the back so we can try and peel the roof up a little bit to get in at this inner that needs a lot of work. It's just, we were wanting to leave the back there, but there is going to be, to a degree, some surface rust in between that gutter and where the roof comes down and sits on top of it. So we're this far now, we might as well do the whole roof. Let's get into it. Yes, it's so much worse than what we were thinking. Even to the point where we probably can't even put the piece back in. It is pretty freaking horrible. So we're just biting the bullet now, we're into it. I'll cut out another piece of roof so I can repair this inner. Then I'll tack that back in. Then I'll probably cut more off this piece of roof and tack that back in, get that gutter back in, tack the corner back in. It's a mission. This is looking really good. That inner is rusty, but it's there's no holes in it, so it's structurally good enough that if I clean it up and prep it properly, we can just replace the top over the top of that inner with the other inner to put then the gutter back on, to put then that corner of the roof back on, to then bog and sand 9 times. If you say it like that, it's really quite depressing. Anyway, let's keep going. Look, I'm going to say it at this point, knowing what's in the back of the roof there now, and I know that the left-hand side of the roof is worse than this side, we should have bought a whole turret. Jace, you were right. One of my mates said, just buy a roof, it'll be bad. And look, I'll eat my own words here. To a degree, I am enjoying it. I'm learning a lot, but putting a whole roof on it would be a better job too, because obviously we're going to a lot of trouble to protect the inner with weld-through primer and prepping it all properly, and then we will spray some sort of rust inhibitor or body wax down into the gutter as well from behind. But a whole roof is going to have less welds in it, obviously, or none. So anyway, you live and learn, and I'm going to put this away for a minute because the bull bars turn up. I'm really excited to see how that looks. Let's get into that. Righto, McKinnon's Cruisers are responsible for this bar. I really like the look of it in the pictures, so I hope it's as good as what I think it's going to look. And I wanted to get this now so when I build the rear bar, we can sort of marry them in together, and also the side steps, because this does have a bit of tube bar incorporated into the design. Let's get it out and chuck it on. Not bad, lads, not bad. Very hard car to make a good bar for, I reckon, because it's not a full replacement bar. Yeah, what do you think?
Beautiful. Well done.
Awesome. And I really love the design of it, and it was probably something I was going to try and mimic anyway and try and build myself. And then you really start to look at the complexity of trying to do something like this at home in the shed. The bar I built for Lance was a lot simpler in design. There's hardly anywhere near the folds and bends and angles, and the rear bar will be similar, although it will be a fair bit more work than I think the front bar was on Lance. So I'm really glad I bought this. I think it was actually bloody good value. They all come raw, unless you ask for them to be powder coated, and suits me being raw because I can match the powder coat with the rear bar and the sliders. So perfect in my eyes. Okay, so along with everything else in this build, I'll make sure all the 4 bolts go in and fit it up properly, and pull it all back off again and put it in the rafters, ready for the powder coater. When this build comes together at the end, it's going to be friggin' awesome, because at not one point through this build, we're going to see the car complete until we go to put it together for the final time. So we'll pack that away now and forget we had it, because I really want to get the snorkel down from the rafters and fit that just to see, but it's good to keep it until the end and nothing's getting damaged and scratched. So we'll put it away until then. Righto, we are starting to put steel back in instead of cutting it out finally. I've got that piece of gutter tacked back into place. So before I cut this out, not only do I have the spot welds to locate it, I put little nicks just above it with the angle grinder just to make sure it's at the right height, because it actually hangs down a little bit underneath the inner there. So we're gonna go ahead now and try and relocate this corner piece of gutter and get the corner back in today.
Really tuck that and pull this down a little.
Well, we're out of one Bisley shirt and into a better one, because this means I'm out of the shed. We have already started sanding that bog, but I'm not going to bore you guys anymore with watching us sand bog, because we're taking Lance out on a road trip and he's going to be towing the 490. That will be interesting in itself. So me and Megs are off, just me and Mum, no kids, out of the shed. So don't forget, guys, you only live once. Get out in the shed, get into that project. Don't spend your whole life in there like I am.